Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Red Review. Tonight we have a very good show for you. We're going to talk about a few different things. Number one, Elon is suing Apple over
Crazy.
Grok of all things, and I got to tell you, it's interesting. We're going to get into that, but more importantly, to your wallet. We're going to talk about the expiration of the EV tax credits and what that means to you in buying EVs going forward in the very near future. Stay tuned for that because you want to be able to save quite a bit of money, and well, that's coming to an end. And lastly, we're going to talk about a few odds and ends, but most importantly, we're going to talk about the solar panels from Tesla. Are they worth it to you? Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. So stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. Hey everybody, and welcome back. You know, I've done a lot of install videos over the months on all of the Tesla Cybertrucks, the Model Y, the Model 3, just having a grand old time. And while you've seen my buddy Dennis and some guest stars in there, one of the people that you almost never see, because he's almost always behind the camera, but you probably caught a glimpse if you were looking closely enough, is my buddy here, Tone Love.
What up, what up, what up? Craig, it's good to be on here, man. It's great to be on here.
Oh man, it's great to have you in front of the camera for a change because here's the deal. You guys always see me smiling in these videos, right? And there's usually a reason why, because usually he's over here cracking me up behind the scenes long before I go on camera. And as soon as I go on camera, he has me just laughing all over the place. It's really wild. He's a straight comedian. What can I tell you? So we're going to get into it here.
Absolutely.
We have a lot to talk about, Tom. And I know a lot of people are interested in hearing a lot of this. First up, Elon's trying to sue Apple over Grok. And after I looked into this, I thought at first Elon was actually just blowing smoke. You know how he goes off on his tangents
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
I thought Elon was just blowing smoke on this one. Turns out after I started looking at it, you know what? He has a point. He has a very good point. And so what's going on is this. It has to do with Grok. Grok, in case you're unfamiliar, is XAI, one of Elon Musk's companies. XAI's chatbots or large language model AI systems. And quite frankly, it is the most powerful AI for commercial use on the market that we can access because it's based off of the supercluster that's in Memphis, Tennessee. And it's the largest amalgamation of AI units in one spot. So it's extremely powerful. Over the last couple of months, especially in these last couple iterations, throughout the world, Grok has been topping #1 on the charts, #2 in the charts worldwide in different spots around the globe.
Right.
Grok is actually doing really, really well. Anytime you put Grok with a benchmark against any of the other AI systems, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Google's Gemini, Claude, any of those other AIs, Grok is coming out on top. I mean, I'm talking everything from large language models to coding to mathematics, PhD level type of things.
Yeah.
It's
How about graphics?
well, you're talking about in image generation.
Yeah, image
Actually,
generation,
they just released this in the last couple of weeks. They do have image generation, and it's doing an extremely good job. And also, along with the image generation, it takes those images and animates them and makes it into a video as well, just like
Veo?
yeah, just like Google Gemini's Veo 3 does. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I really want to get to what's at the heart of this lawsuit. Apple has entered into a partnership with ChatGPT. Now, I'm pretty sure you're pretty familiar with ChatGPT and what they offer. They're another large language model. They're not as high in the benchmarks as, say, Gemini and Grok. In fact, they're trailing somewhere in the neighborhood of #3 or #4 in terms of how powerful it is. A lot of people are familiar with ChatGPT because they were the first ones on the AI scene.
Yeah.
But in terms of where they're at now, they're not exactly leading the pack. So Apple, on the other hand, has been promising for a minute now about integrating AI into the Apple ecosphere. And
Right. Since last September, right?
yeah, something in that neighborhood. They've been promising it for a minute. And let's just say they've fallen short. And they've pretty much given up on their ambitions of AI. They tried to build out their own AI system. In fact, I remember a couple events ago, Apple said, okay, Siri's going to be a lot more powerful with AI.
Right.
Yeah, you see how powerful it is. Well, that's because they did not invest in the infrastructure that they actually needed to make it happen. And they didn't have the talent of the other folks to make it happen.
Right.
So to help solve this problem, they have entered into an agreement about a week ago with ChatGPT to basically make Siri useful.
Right. Right.
That's essentially what it is. They make
Basically.
Siri useful.
Yeah.
And so now, if you have an iPhone or an iPad and you go into the App Store, you cannot miss the ChatGPT advertisements.
Oh, they're pushing it hard, especially with their version 5 coming out, ChatGPT 5, right?
Yeah, ChatGPT 5. Yeah, they're pushing it hard.
Yeah, and to be honest, me using ChatGPT, I like the previous one better. 5, they almost like ripped out the emotion, and it talks to you differently, and I kind of like it talking to me nicely. It says bro and everything. I thought it stopped short of calling me the N-word. I thought about it might be okay. Like I don't like white people calling me that, but ChatGPT, you get a pass. Oh. I'm just saying, he's cool. So
okay, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
See, I've never really used ChatGPT like that. I've never gotten into it. I kind of skipped over ChatGPT and I went straight to Gemini.
Okay.
And Gemini is not, how shall we say, as cool.
No, not at all. Gemini is not very social.
Straight shooter.
Straight shooter. But that's how they made ChatGPT 5. It's kind of a straight shooter. It's not really giving me the cool guy vibe anymore.
Yeah, I hear your ChatGPT. It actually sounds really cool. I wish mine sounded like that. It sounds like a regular person.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I like that. That's pretty cool. So what's happened is Apple entered into this agreement with ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT is getting integrated into Apple. And well, let's just say Apple is going overboard and pushing ChatGPT. And for whatever reason, they must have a beef with Elon and Grok especially. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because if you were to go into your iPhone right now, pull up your iPhone, go into the App Store, and you look at the front page of the App Store. I have it up right here. This is the front page of my App Store. And what it shows, try these AI-powered apps.
Wow.
The number one they list is Microsoft Copilot. Mm-hmm. Fair.
Right.
Number 2, ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. Number 3, Google Gemini. That makes sense. That makes sense all day long because Google Gemini is really good. ChatGPT's, well, they're their partner.
They're popular.
But then the next thing that's listed is auto transcribed voice notes.
So where's Grok?
I don't even know what auto transcribed voice notes is.
It's a generic app that probably is more popular than Grok, or probably not.
No. Okay, so this is under the Now Trending tab. So I'm going to tap on the Now Trending tab, and another list comes up. Mm-hmm. And this list, we'll just go down the list here. After Google Gemini, you got auto transcribed voice notes. You have Craft, Write Docs, AI editing. Solo learn the code. Mm-hmm. Fine. Mm-hmm. Pinterest, Canva.
Okay, Pinterest, Canva. Uh-huh.
Lightroom, photo, video editor.
Adobe?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Adobe.
Adobe.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Duolingo.
Okay. Gotta learn your languages.
Be My Eyes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what you're looking at. Okay.
Smart Dreams Bedtime Stories. See, I can't make this up.
I mean, it's for the kids. Well, maybe.
Bedtime stories.
Depends on the story.
Yeah, right. Noticeably absent, Grok. Now, in all fairness, Claude is not there either. So there's that. Mm-hmm. But no Grok. So you say, okay, well, they just left it off the Now Trending. Maybe folks
it's not trending.
It's not trending on Apple. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's keep on going. Let's go to the essentials section of popular iPad apps. Microsoft Teams, Zoom Workplace. Number 3, ChatGPT, once again. Here we go. And then it goes Amazon, Discord, TikTok, GoodNotes, YouTube, HBO Max, Paramount, Twitch, Peacock, and you even get Procreate, CapCut, Duolingo, Toca Boca World, Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures.
Hey, I mean, you can't, that just got to make the list. I mean, but Craig, maybe Grok is not that popular. Maybe people don't really use Grok. On Apple, anyway. Maybe Apple users are just not Grok friendly. Ever thought about that?
I have thought about that. According to Apple, top free iPad apps. Top free iPad apps on Apple. Number 1, ChatGPT. Okay.
Well, I mean, is their partner? They're probably curved. It's probably a little.
See, and there lies the problem.
Yeah.
It's not fair. And this is what Elon was saying. He said they have made it impossible for Grok to rise to the top of the heap on Apple. And that's his whole point. ChatGPT just magically became number 1 on the Apple Store. Why? That wasn't by accident. And in fact, if you were to look for Grok, you would find it at number 14.
Well, you know, in Apple's defense, they've been doing that for years. They have been curving the ball for years. Look what they did with FaceTime. They could have made FaceTime for Android. You know, it'd have been nothing. But no, they kept FaceTime on Apple. They do things like that. This is who they are.
Well, that's a whole other ballgame. That's
Just saying.
Let me not get started on that.
You know, Apple just, you know, they never play ball fair. You know, they always try to have this closed system. And, you know, if you're not part of the boys club, you're not cool with Apple, then you're just not.
So, bottom line is Elon has Elon has not been happy about any of this. And he's been sounding off quite frequently on X every day about this. Quite frankly, Grok is better. I mean, I've bounced around from Gemini. I bounced between Grok and Gemini quite a bit. And Grok overall is better. I have noticed with a lot of these AI systems, however, if you have not been utilizing AI in your daily workflow, number 1, I would highly recommend doing that and, you know, start integrating it in.
Oh, yeah.
But number 2, there is room for all of these systems to coexist.
Absolutely.
Because what I have found in using them is that they each bring something to the table very special. They have their strengths and the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Grok is starting to become the overall best one in terms of day-to-day coding, things of that nature, day-to-day task overall. It still has some hallucinations depending on what tier level you're in. But it's still a lot better than a lot of the others. When I want things like video generation and I want more imaginative stuff, my go-to has been Gemini for Veo 3's video and audio.
Absolutely.
Okay. Grok image generation is phenomenal. They're very good. And right now, if you're on X and if you have access to Grok, you can try this for free. You can go to Grok Imagine and try out Grok for free. It's no big thing. Unlike with Gemini, you only get so many tokens and all of this.
Right.
You might be able to generate a couple things. And in the video, good luck. Let me circle back around to Veo 2 and Veo 3. But for right now, Grok is the cheapest way of experiencing this. And I got to say, the imaging on Grok has been exquisite. And they really excel at, I don't want to say cartoons, but more like creative, imaginative drawings. That's what it actually excels at.
How would you compare it with Midjourney, though, who's been, you know, one of the first, the pioneers with that?
Yeah, but Midjourney is still hard to operate.
Midjourney is hard. You need Discord to even bother with it, right?
To give you an idea, I'm on Midjourney. I don't use it.
Yeah, I don't use it either.
I'm not saying that Midjourney is not good, so please spare me the hate mail. I know there are a lot of fans out there. The only reason I don't use it is because of the process you got to go through to use it.
Yeah.
That's the issue that I have. So I'm not commenting on how good it is.
Well, if you guys need to send hate mail, you can send it to me. I'm okay with it because, see, if you didn't notice, I have my shirt on. It's NSF. So if you just need to get, vent, it's okay. Bring it to me because I have NSF. Non-sufficient.
Yeah, we got it.
Carry on, sir. Carry on. Carry on.
So Yeah, so Midjourney, they're not even in the discussion. I just put them on a different plane of existence, so to speak.
Right.
That's the best way for me to put it. But in terms of jumping into an app, generating the video, and doing those sorts of things, I think Grok, Google Veo, that's where it's at.
Okay.
Elon's suing Apple because Apple is not, I don't want to say featuring Grok, but they're suppressing Grok on their app store, and therefore they're not rising in the rankings. Therefore, people don't download the app because they don't know it exists, and therefore XAI doesn't make money.
Well, I wonder if that's going to really hold, because it's not like, well, see, Apple is its own proprietary system. If they want to do that, it's not like they're a monopoly, you know.
Well, here's the thing, right? They have had lawsuits before, and you would think it's their own closed system, so they can do whatever in the world they want.
Right.
But that's just not the way the law works when you're dealing with large companies the size of Apple. And in fact, they have antitrust regulators that want to ensure competitive companies.
And normally that would be a case, but we're in a Trump administration.
True.
You know.
There's that.
Yeah. So you know the anything dealing with cheating.
Cheating's legal now.
Cheating
You
is
guys not know
legal.
that?
Yeah, it's wide open. You know, we're in a Trump. But look, if you want to cheat, now is the time, because look who we got in office. I'm just saying. You know, you could not like me. It's okay. Again, NSF.
Exactly. So, yeah.
So there's that.
So this harks all the way back to Microsoft when Windows, basically Windows dominated the market.
Oh yeah.
And they could put in Windows Explorer. This goes back to the lawsuit that dealt with Windows Explorer. Internet Explorer. Right.
Yep.
Thank you. Internet Explorer. Yep. And what Windows was doing was putting Internet Explorer on their computers. It would ship with Internet Explorer. And then the likes of the other browsers at the time, you know, we had Netscape, for those that are old enough to remember.
Netscape, yes.
Yeah, Netscape.
Netscape Navigator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Thank you. Navigator. And there were a few other ones, and they were all complaining. It's like, hey, we want to get a foothold too, but Windows has locked up the market, and we can't get by Internet Explorer because they keep hogging all the real estate on the platform, and that somebody got to go to a different website in order to download it.
Right.
And that's not fair.
That's not fair. You know what? They did a Nintendo. Nintendo did a similar thing. You had to go through them to get their cartridges, and they put you in line. They couldn't make cartridges fast enough. So, you know, if you were a smaller business, they would say, okay, well, you got to wait because we got Electronic Arts instead, and we're going to put them out first. Or we got our other stuff instead, and you just got to wait. And so it put everyone at a disadvantage because you could not use another system, another company to manufacture these cartridges. And so they did the same, you know, similar. So they're dominating the market, and Microsoft got dinged for that, right? Was that 97 they finally, or 2000?
Yeah. So yeah, Microsoft did get dinged for that, and they were forced to put the other companies' web browsers on the Windows system. So you can make the argument all day long and say, oh, well, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, right. True, but only to a certain extent. And that's why I don't believe Apple will actually win this one. They're going to have to negotiate something. And they know this. They got plenty of attorneys on staff that are very familiar with this, and they know what they're doing.
Well, they may use Grok to figure out a loophole. That's what I would do. Apple.
Exactly. That's exactly what
How do I get out of this lawsuit against us? Yeah, from Elon.
So that's what's going on. So Elon's talking about suing Apple. My guess is they're going to come to some agreement after both sides make enough noise. Apple has been curiously quiet on this, though. I have not really seen a response out of them after Elon has been threatening all of this. I guess they're just sitting there waiting for the lawsuit to happen. That's my guess.
Well, it's that, but you also got to remember the Trump administration. You know, or Trump himself said, "Hey, you know, we're going to slap these tariffs and whatnot on you if you don't bring everything back to America, to the U.S." And so they're dealing with that as well. So, you know, they're trying to do the song and dance and make it look like they're bringing things back to America. They've got something.
What, Apple?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All this stuff's in India.
Right. But that's what Trump is saying. No, you need to bring everything back to America. So they're dealing with that too. So you got Trump over here. There is, you know, first of all, the two the whole relationship is kind of a little messy. So Apple's in between these. It's like a little triangle. It's like a
Well,
love
and then
triangle.
they were buying off the Trump administration this past week, but that's another story for another time.
Another story for another time.
So that's what's going on with Elon, and he's got a little burp is behind about it, and we'll see how it turns out. So
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit. We touched on it a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about Google Veo 2 and 3 because those are some interesting platforms. If you're not familiar with Google Veo, you can create AI videos with Google Veo 2, and Veo 3 is a higher level version.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Yeah.
And the main difference between Veo 2 and Veo 3 is that you can put in a prompt and to say, hey, create this type of video. But Veo 3 will also do audio, and it will have people talking. And last time we looked, I think it's doing minors now. They'll let minors talk.
Yep. And it's also doing Foley, isn't it? Yeah, with the background.
Yep.
It's doing Foley. You know.
It's doing Foley.
So you're outside in the beach, you know, through the seagull sounds and, you know, waves pushing through, you know, going through and everything.
It's excellent. It's excellent
very
in the way
nice.
that it
Very
works.
nice.
The problem, though, and I don't know what it is about Veo 3, the problem they've had is that you cannot upload an image into Veo 3 and have it recreate that image in the next video. You just cannot do it. In Veo 2, you can upload your own image,
Right.
have you running through the woods and all of this, and then it'll allow you to create scene to scene to scene to scene
Right.
and have
Stitch
a creative
together and keep a
stitch a whole movie together.
Yeah.
Veo 3 won't let you do that. It's going to create each scene from the prompt
Independently.
independently. And so you're not going to have that consistency from scene to scene to scene to scene.
Yet.
Yet.
So I'm sure that's on the top of their list of the roadmap.
And you would hope so, but it's been that way for months now. I don't know what's going on. So there's that. If you are not familiar with Grok, Grok doesn't really do the scene-to-scene thing either. They're just now starting to introduce it, where you can put in the beginning part and the beginning part of a scene, and it'll figure out the rest for you. But in terms of what each one is good for, Google, I have found, is a lot more creative than, say, Grok is. Gemini is a lot more creative than what Grok is in terms of video generations and things of that nature. Although I have found the limits of Veo 2 and 3. After you put in enough prompts, you start to realize it starts utilizing the same assets over and over again. You're going to get the same laser beams shooting down. If you try to put in the cars, it's going to start utilizing the same car assets. So I don't know what the people it uses. Maybe it generates the same 100 faces. I don't know.
Interesting.
Grok, however, has been a lot better at the reasoning. So if I have a complex document that I need analyzed, I'm going to give it to Grok. Gemini was pretty good. Gemini 2.5 Pro was actually really good about it. Grok seems to be doing a little bit better job at the analytical work and the mathematics works. It sometimes gets a little verbose. I have to cut her down the size a little bit.
Right. But it will get it done.
It will get it done. So if you've been confused about what AI systems to use, the short answer is, if you're being more creative, Gemini is your man. If you want more analytical, computational things, Grok and Grok Heavy is a whole other ballgame because that's $300 a month. It's a panel of experts. If you are serious about utilizing AI, Grok Heavy is the way to go. If you seriously need stuff analyzed, it basically puts together a panel of experts and picks the best answer and gives to you. It's very useful.
Interesting. Well, I do use ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is fun.
Yeah. Well, I use it on a daily basis, and more than fun, it is actually.
What do you use it for?
I use it for programming, light programming. I use it. I've been doing things with Google Sheets and the app scripts, and I'll have it generate code for that. You know, which is basically like a JavaScript. And for when you talk about everyday use for the average person, ChatGPT is pretty powerful for that. You know, if you need to run through a legal document and summarize it, I know Adobe Acrobat has like some sort of basic AI. It'll kind of summarize things for you, but ChatGPT does a lot better for it. I think that for a lot of people, especially for free, the free version, like I use the Plus version, it's pretty good. And in terms of creation, in terms of image creation, obviously it can't hold a candle to Google Veo 2 or 3. But for like a still image, and you just need something basic, especially if it's for a slideshow, maybe something corporate. Actually, ChatGPT does a pretty good job. It does a pretty good job for everyday use.
So it's for the everyday man. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's definitely for everyday man, and for the basic, entrepreneurs, maybe a startup entrepreneur, and maybe not for an enterprise level. I don't know if it's there for that, but for the average person that just needs if they're a startup business, or if they just need general help, on reading a document, they get like, for example, we know someone who was able to beat a speeding ticket. Remember, it was a speeding ticket in a school zone. So he sped through his school zone here in Georgia, and he wanted to get out of it. So he asked ChatGPT, hey, how can I beat this ticket? And ChatGPT looked at the details and said, hey, well, you could beat it because the day that you sped through, it was not actually a school day. School was off. So you can't charge, it was saying, the courts can't charge him for speeding on a non-school day in the school zone. And sure enough, ChatGPT wrote the letter, sent it in, beat the ticket. Everyday use. And he's not a Plus user. That was for free.
I was going to say it paid for itself,
Yeah.
but no.
It was free. He got the free version.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that was the free version.
So those are some of the differences with some of the AI systems. I hope that helps clear a little bit up. If you have any questions about it, put some questions in the comments below. We'll try to get to them, answer those as quickly as we can. We'll get around to answering those.
Yep.
Because we understand there's a lot of confusion out there with it. And, well, that's why we're here.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I always ask about Grok, because I don't get to use Grok as often, because I know Grok is really a part of X.
XAI.
Yeah, XAI. Well, I don't, because it says XAI and I think about Twitter, X.
Right.
Well,
you wouldn't be far off because X owns both of them.
Right. That's my thought process. And because I don't use X as a social media platform, I don't really use Grok because it's kind of attached to my head. So that's what kind of throws me off. Like Gemini, they forced it on me. I mean, I have an Android phone. One day I woke up and Gemini was on there, and I was like, there was nothing I could do about it. Yeah, you're taking Gemini whether you want it or not.
Right.
Because you could not accept the privacy, you could not accept the terms, but then you can't use your phone. So there's that. So I had to use it. So Gemini was forced on me because I wouldn't have used Gemini. I was already using ChatGPT. I was happy with it. But in Claude, I don't even like Claude. We're not even talking about that. I don't like the way Claude talked to me. I didn't like the way I felt.
Screw you!
Right. Claude rubbed me the wrong way. But, I mean, so how do people even get Grok? Do you go to grok.com?
Okay. Yes, actually you do. You can go to grok.com.
Yeah. And how you spell it again? Grok.
Grok, just like it sounds.
Grok.
So here's the deal, right? There's a couple of ways to get Grok. You can go to grok.com, or you can go on, get an account, log on to X. You can log on to X, formerly Twitter, and you can utilize it there. But for those of us that have Teslas, we don't have to do anything. It's in our car. Yeah, you heard that right. We have Grok, the equivalent of ChatGPT, and it's not janky. It's in our cars, and all the Teslas that are not on the older. You have to have a really old Tesla for it not to be there. Okay. Yeah, all the newer Teslas, Grok is in the vehicle now. I have to say that Grok is not integrated into the vehicle to control the vehicle yet. So it's not like you can say, hey, Grok, drop my window. No,
it can't do that.
It can't do that. But it is there as a conversationalist. And I found it quite useful for when I'm driving. I have to ask it questions along the way. It does know your location. It keeps track. You can tell it not to know your location. You can do that, but it's helpful if it knows your location. One of the things that it has in the car that I have noticed that is not any place else that I've seen is that it has an option to help you learn a new language. So it'll sit there and chat back and forth with you and say, hey, which language do you want to learn? I say, okay, I want to practice my Spanish. Okay, we're going to practice Spanish. And so if we're on a nice long drive, I'm going to be practicing my Spanish. Who needs Duolingo, right?
Well, does it do cuss words? See, that's important. You dropped the ball, Elon. Got to learn cuss words.
You're going to get around Mexico. Yeah.
You
might, yeah.
And that's actually a good point, with dialects,
You know what? I haven't tried that. I'm going to try that and see what dialects it does.
You know what? I did forget one thing that ChatGPT also did, and I want to know if Grok can do it. This agent mode is next level. Yes. ChatGPT agent mode, you guys haven't checked that out. I don't know if Grok can do that. It's basically, from what I understand, I haven't really used it like I want to yet, but I plan to use it like tomorrow, so I got to give you guys an update. Basically, it's a Chrome extension, and now it can go while you're away and continue researching and really dig using your web browser. So it has its own independent web browser at this point doing work for you. So you can really deep dive into doing tasks and things. Anything that can be done in a web browser continuously.
I know Gemini kind of sort of does something like that. Let me say this. Grok has agents.
Right.
I don't know about agent mode. It works in the background and it does the deep research, things of that nature. It will dig and it will go all over the web, and it also has the deep thing to actually do high order reasoning.
Right.
It will do all of that.
Okay.
But as I said before, Grok Heavy takes your agent, multiply that times several hundred.
Several fold. Yeah.
Several fold.
Yeah.
They all go out because, as you know, sometimes it gets something a little off, and if you ask, come back again, or if you say, hey, you give it a prompt to say, okay, now you're an expert in biochemistry, or you're an expert in physics, you may get a different answer depending on what it's doing. What Grok Heavy does, it sends out agents that are multiple experts based upon your question. It sends out multiple experts, does all the research, and comes back to you, and it's able to reason through all the answers that it has received back from all the agents, and then it presents that answer to you.
Yeah. I know ChatGPT had multiple modes like that. A high reasoning mode. I think they tried to consolidate it into just one. I think that's what 5 is doing.
So the reason why Grok doesn't have that is because it's already built in.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And if you go to Grok Heavy, now you've got multitudes more power than just simple one agent. Now you have
multiple agents.
And
come up with one answer, a think tank, if you will.
It is a think tank.
Yeah,
that's exactly
like
what
that.
it is.
I like that.
And that's why they charge $300 a month for it. Ooh.
It's
worth it if you're doing that kind of research.
Absolutely.
Your answers are going to be highly accurate. Okay. And if I don't even know I can even guess about coding, but if you're doing a lot of research every month, then it could very well be worth it to you. I don't know who's doing it. If any of you guys have been using it, please shoot me some examples.
Oh yeah, love to see it. I know that I've been using like ChatGPT to make prompts for other AIs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but since we're on the topic, I wasn't going to try to skew too far off. Are you familiar with JSON prompts?
Say it again.
JSON.
Oh, JSON. Yeah, JSON prompts. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people don't know about this.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is true with any LLM that you're working with. Okay. JSON prompts are structured prompts. Now, don't be too afraid if you've never heard of JSON prompts or if you've never used them, and don't even worry about that part, because I'm going to give you the simple hack to this. Okay. Real simple. What they are, you got to remember, the LLMs, at the end of the day, they're still computers. They're still machines. And they love structure. And the more structure you're able to put with your prompts, the better
It can
the
process
LLM will understand you and better, like you say, it'll process it,
Yep.
and the more accurate the output will be. So let's say you wanted to create an image and you wanted to look like, a white background with a train coming through, something like that. You just may say, give me a train coming through the woods with a white background, da 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 da. A JSON prompt will actually structure it and say, okay, image, uh, objects, train,
Yep.
objects, trees, objects. It'll go down a list and start listing different parts. And when the computer reads it, it's able to dissect that and go, oh, that's what you want. All right. So now the computer's able to understand it.
You're speaking its language.
Exactly. Yeah. So the question becomes, well, okay, I don't know how to program a JSON prompt. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that can do it right off the rip.
Right.
Because they're computer programs, they do it all day long. They understand.
That would be me.
Yeah. I used to do that. But I have found the easiest way to do this is to go into Gemini. For some odd reason, Gemini is really good.
Really good at JSON, yeah.
Yeah, I will put my description, my layperson description in the Gemini and say, hey, create a JSON prompt that does this. And crazily enough, it'll spit out a JSON prompt. I'll take that over to Grok and it's like, hey, Grok, put that in there. Boom, got what I want.
Right, right.
Rather than if I took that regular, just plain language prompt and give it to Grok straight, it may not be.
It may or may not, yes. It's hit or miss.
So that's just an aside that I just want to hit on real fast.
All right. Moving on.
Oh, man. We could talk about AI all night.
Right,
oh, my
right,
gosh. There's so much to it.